Well, we have done it, folks. We have reached our final unit in AP Biology, Ecology. So, up to this point, we have examined a wide range of topics throughout this course, including molecules, cells, cell cycles, genes, gene expression, heredity, and evolution. With this understanding, we are now finally prepared to move to higher levels of complexity ranging from individual organisms all the way up to the entire biosphere of the Earth. This is the realm of ecology, which examines how the adaptations of species help them survive and reproduce in the context of interactions with other species in the non-living world. So our ecological hierarchy, we've done this before. You've studied some sort of ecology. You had, your freshman year of environmental science that definitely touched on ecology. So we get to the bottom level here on our pyramid where we're looking at individual organisms, how those organisms interact within a population, how different populations interact in a community, how different communities act in the ecosystem involving the non-living components of the environment, how different ecosystems make up biomes, such as the desert biome. Our biome is the temperate deciduous forest biome. Tundra, there's the tropical rainforests, there's your subtropical taigas, that sort of thing. And then all the biomes on our planet work together to make up our biosphere, which is our living planet, all the areas of our planet where life would exist, such as the atmosphere, the hydrosphere, and the lithosphere. So individuals, populations here, we know what these things are, so you could review these slides on your own. Communities and ecosystems, biomes. And our ecological hierarchy here, for each level, it is helpful to remember that the level is governed by physical principles. One important physical principle is the law of the conservation of matter. The second principle is the law of conservation of energy. And taken together, these physical principles tell us that we should be able to track the movement of elements and energy at each level in the hierarchy. So we are going to look at the individual level first, so that's where we're going to focus today. You're going to see some things in our following videos that you've learned before, and then expanding upon that. So at this level, the individual level, the focus is on adaptations that individuals possess as a result of natural selection. There's a wide range of organisms that can detect changes in their environment and respond by altering their phenotypes. We know that's phenotypic plasticity. And doing that can improve an individual's performance and increase their overall fitness. So a couple things. Orientation toward or away from environmental stimuli. So we know what a stimulus is. It's something that could produce a change. It's a change in the environment that could produce a response from an organism. So we have, you could move toward or away from unfavorable stimuli, or typically towards favorable stimuli. So there's two different types of movement. So you could have random movement known as kinesis, or specific movement or in a specific direction known as taxis. So the random movement, a good example would be bacteria. Bacteria, if there's an unfavorable stimulus in the environment, the bacteria will start to spin with hopes of moving away from that unfavorable stimulus, but there's really no rhyme or reason as to where it's moving. It's just trying to get away from that unfavorable stimulus. Whereas with taxis, the organism is moving in a specific direction. So an example of this would be plants moving towards sunlight. Here are two embedded videos that you can watch on your own, just explaining that phototropism, that plant moving towards the sun. So in all these cases, moving towards favorable stimuli and away from unfavorable stimuli results in the organism experiencing more favorable conditions, resulting in greater evolutionary fitness. So there's also, so when we're talking about moving toward and away from environmental stimuli. Some organisms rely on photoperiods, which are the number of sunlit hours of the day. We know that depending on the season, the amount of sunlight that's available does differ. So many animals use photoperiods in order to change their behavior. Plants obviously also use these photoperiods, but birds use photoperiods to know when to migrate. Mammals use them to stimulate the production of hormones that lead to breeding behavior, such as white-tailed deer in the fall. Some organisms use photoperiods for navigation. So they orient themselves for long distances and have evolved methods of navigation. So an example would be the homing pigeon. So this bird has evolved a combination of cues, including being able to navigate based on star patterns at night. And scientists, they've experimented with this by putting magnets on the homing pigeons, and they weren't able to really conduct or kind of figure out where their true north was. So it made the pigeons get lost. So they are able to, they sense the stars, and they sense the magnetational pull of the earth. Biological clocks are something that animals can also respond to in the presence of daylight and darkness. So looking at, photoperiods once again. Retinas in the eyes of vertebrates sense daylight and darkness. I know I've been laying in bed and the sunlight is coming through my window. That's why a lot of people use blackout curtains, because they don't want to wake up when the sun comes up. But it's natural that when sunlight will, hit your body, it starts to produce the chemicals that you need to start to wake up. So some people have just natural circadian clocks where they are able to wake up at the same time every day, and they go to bed at the same time every night, and they're just in that natural state. I've already said Mr. Fredericks is one of these people, so he tells me he does not use an alarm clock in the morning. Don't know how he does it, but it exists. There are people like that. So here's a video on circadian clocks that you can watch. Some species of fish and reptiles have a photosensitive cells on their skull between their eyes, so right up here in the picture. And then that detects light versus dark, and it's often referred to as their third eye as well. Going back to that slide, this point here, when animals experience darkness, the pineal gland releases melatonin. So some people, when their circadian rhythms are messed up and they can't get that natural feeling of sleepiness, they will actually take melatonin, vitamins or gummies, and that's supposed to help them get sleepy. But it's not something that people should always be relying on just when your rhythm gets messed up. So moving into communication and fitness, individuals gain a substantial amount of information about the best responses to their environment from the other individuals around them. So this can include individuals of the same species or actually of different species. So when we're referring to communication, we're referring to a transfer of information between two or more individuals, whether that's the same species or different species. There are different ways that animals can communicate, including visual, auditory, chemical, tactile, and electrical signals. So visual communication are just signs and signals that can be seen, such as male cardinals are red, females are brown. So it's a signal to the females that he is available. He is male and available for mating, antlers on deer, bright flowers to attract pollinators, elaborate courtship dances, and some birds. These are all visual communications. Auditory can communicate danger, such as a rattlesnake tail. Can be used to attract mates, breeding birds, breeding frogs. They have their mating calls. Can be used to communicate danger or warning signs. So the vervet monkey that you see here in the picture, and here's a video here showing the difference in the calls, they will actually make different calls based on the predators that are available. So they have a different call for like a leopard versus a snake. So they will actually communicate to the other vervet monkeys what exact predator is on the prowl. Chemical communication can typically be used to attract mates, so allows organisms to advertise over long distances that they're ready to mate. So female dogs in heat, if your female dog is not spayed, if your male dogs are not neutered, typically they can sense if there's a female dog in heat, the male dogs start to go pretty crazy. Could be used to follow a path. Ants release a chemical signal for other ants to follow the path towards the food. Used as a warning to predators warning of predators in the area or to predators in the area. Fish to other fish. Skunks, stink bugs. Used to mark boundaries of territory. So deer pea will mark that boundary. Plants also use chemicals. You've got goldenrod releases chemicals to actually warn other plants of insects in the area. And then you've got your wonderful corpse flower here. And it releases an odor to attract flies that people say resemble rotting flesh. So, wonderful. So here's a video on that too if you're interested in the corpse flower. We've got your tactile communication, where organisms respond to a stimulus through the sense of touch. So vibrations of a spider web communicates to the spider that it has caught some prey. Some species of frog will make a call that vibrates the ground, and that will attract females. And then you've got your electrical, which is less common. So you've got like some species of fish, like knife fish, and they'll send a weak electrical signal through the water to communicate with each other. So we have, so that's ending of communication, but we do have individual responses to the environment. So we've got organisms that respond through innate behaviors, which are instinctual behaviors, which just seem to come out of nowhere. They just know them because they're instinctual, they're embedded in their DNA somewhere. And then you got your learned behaviors, which are caused by an individual's experience to its environment. So some learned behaviors, you've got habituation. Animals learn over time. You've got operant conditioning, where an animal is either rewarded or punished for a behavior. You've got imitation, where individuals learn a behavior from watching other individuals perform. And then you've got imprinting, which occurs when animals are young and they learn what their parents look like. So they imprint like baby birds on their mother, and they just follow the mother. Then you've got finally your cooperative behaviors, which are where some animal species are very social and they work together, they cooperate with each other, and that behavior can exhibit the overall increase to an individual's fitness. So large fitness advantage, spending times in groups, results in more eyes searching for food, more eyes looking out for predators, group defense against predators. Among predators, it allows for hunting in groups to subdue larger prey maybe. And then some disadvantages, having to share food, being more detectable to predators, and being susceptible to even rapid spread of disease. So really, when the benefits of cooperative behavior outweigh the cost, then a species would be favored by evolution to exhibit that cooperative behavior in the environment. So that is the end of our first section of notes in our ecology unit. I hope that it was interesting. If not, oh well, on to the next one. Thank you.